Hello again, I am Blunty. Now, this time of year is always pretty exciting to be a video game type person because as we steamroll towards Christmas, and can you believe how close that is already, more and more video game stuff starts bleeding out as, you know, the holiday season. It's time to get that stuff out the door because it's when people are buying a lot of stuff. This year in this video game season, we're lucking out here in Australia. We have two video game expositions basically back to back. First up in a couple of days now, actually, we've got the EB Expo, and then about a month later, almost exactly a month later, come to think of it, there's the PAX Australia. These are two very, very different sort of expos or conventions or whatever you want to call them. The EB one, of course, being run by EB Games, a retailer. It's always kind of focused on, you know, selling stuff. They have a sort of mini EB store in there with lots and lots of merchandise and, you know, fluffy animals and mascots and things and toys and games, of course, and accessories. And surrounding the rest of the hall are all the games that are coming up to get people excited. You can go and pre-order them straight away at a special pre-order booth. You go and play under the newest Battlefield, for example, because that was brilliant. And you rush to the pre-order thing and you plop down your pre-order and it's all done, taken care of. And that's really kind of cool. It's all very, you know, commercialized and stuff, but it's fun. On the other side of the page, you have the PAX Expo, PAX Australia, which is kind of the complete polar opposite. That thing is supposed to be just about the players. There's a lot more focus on the indie side of things. There's tabletop gaming as well, and all this other sort of geeky stuff that sits outside of what EB Expo usually does. And you know, it's more about sort of community and stuff instead of media and selling and all that kind of. So the two, you know, I'm not saying one is better than the other. The two complement each other really nicely. I like having two so different video game expos quite close together this year as well. It's going to be very exciting. And yes, I am planning on going to both. I've got my media passes sorted out for both. Haven't quite sorted out my hotel and flights yet for Melbourne, which is a bit scary because it's less than a month away, or just over a month away. But budget issues, really, which is kind of embarrassing. So fingers crossed I get that sorted out because I really, really, really don't want to miss PAX Australia. Had a blast at the first one last year. Anyway, back to the EB Games Expo. Last year I had fun at that too. It's on at the Sydney Showgrounds, and it's a pretty decent venue. I always like it there. It's a little bit out of the way and a bit of a pain in the ass to get to on the trains and stuff, but, you know, whatever. There's usually plenty of space, though, so you never really feel sardined in, which is important for a guy like me who has to grind past various levels of social anxiety to get the most out of these kinds of events. Last year was especially exciting because it happened just before lots of exciting hardware launch and games, of course, but not the least of which were things like the 2DS, which I got my first hands on at the EB Expo last year. But, of course, the most powerful draws was the very first chance for most Australians, in fact I think all Australians, including myself, to get actual hands-on with the pre-launch PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles, which was very exciting. And of course that all included hands-on with the whole swag of as-yet unreleased games for those systems. Nintendo even had a special demo of Pokemon X and Pokemon Y there, which was very unique. I believe that was the first time they've ever done a standalone demo of a Pokemon game like that, at least in Western countries. And this year, Nintendo will have the new 3DS on display, although not playable. They will have a playable version at PAX Australia, because that is just before launch. There will, of course, be another pile of new and unreleased games to check out, and EB Games also have a few new hardware suppliers joining them this time around, so I'll be keen to check all that out. There are a couple of brands that are going to be there that as yet aren't for sale in Australia, as I understand it, so that's kind of exciting. Then there's the usual fun stuff, video game cosplay, of course, everything from the treacherously vision-impairing and dehydratingly sweaty mascot suits, and the just plain adorable. These kinds of expos are also a nice little reminder to some gamers out there that gaming has a far, far wider demographic than perhaps they're ready to admit to these days. The big publishers usually have something pretty sweet going on too, big, you know, fancy booths with, you know, little giveaways and bits and pieces. Last year, EA had a big friggin' tank and, even more fun, a t-shirt cannon, which, just between us, put just a bit of fear into my man Jigsy here because no one was exactly sure what the safe limit of pressurization was. That made it exciting. As usual, there's some interesting panels going on, some about specific games, some Q&A stuff, some just about the kinds of stuff that swirls around the industry, issues and whatnot. Hell, even last year, yours truly got up on stage for a YouTubers panel, which was fun. But no, in case anyone was already typing out the question, I won't be on a panel this year. No one bothered inviting me. So I guess now's the part where you guys tell me if you're coming along. I will be there, of course. I will be there all 3 days, or at least plan to be there all 3 days, which is dreadfully exhausting, particularly if you're like, man, you got a bad back. But I like going all 3 days to get the, suck the marrow from the very bones of the place, get everything I can out of there. I'll be spending 1 day at least shooting exclusively with my iPhone 6 Plus, because this proves an interesting opportunity to test this thing as an all-in-one field kit. Because as I've sort of hinted at so far in a couple of different videos about it so far, it is, I believe, the first iPhone I've got that I can use completely self-contained production unit because of that big screen and how well iMovie, the new update of iMovie, works so well. Because before now, iMovie on the iPhone was good. I mean, you can get the job done, but it was very, very awkward on those little screens, comparatively little screens, I should say. But this time, big resolution screen, big screen, and I think I can, record, edit, upload the whole schmeal just from one device. And EB Expo, at least 1 day of EB Expo, is going to be my test bed for really putting this thing through its paces. So that should be exciting, outside of all the other exciting stuff going on, the new games, the new hardware, which I mentioned as well. But yeah, my expectations are for a fun event. I'm particularly looking forward to getting my first, at least eyes on, with the new 3DS. Being a media guy, knowing the Nintendo people, even though I've been grouchy at Nintendo kind of recently, I'm just hoping they'll let me get a little bit hands-on, even though it's not hands-on for the general public. I'm gonna lean on them a little bit. I'm gonna poke him in the ribs. Come on, just give me 3 seconds with it. Come on. Just give me a couple of shots. Come on. Let me go out back with it, please. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I'll catch you next time. And you, again, pop a comment if you're coming along. And if you're coming in costume, let me know so I can keep an eye out for you. I'll make sure we get you on video.